Hey folks, welcome to Plane in Traffic. The minute you enter this, this is on the other side of Cape May. So we're going into Cape May right now on this bridge here. I'll give you the actual bridge and what route this is. I don't know how many bridges are in the Cape May. There's at least two of them. This is not the one that goes into the center of Cape May. Can't tell. All right, anyway. There's an inlet. That leads out to the Atlantic Ocean, Delaware Bay / Atlantic Ocean. As it turns the corner, it turns into Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to make this first right-hand turn right here. And around I go. And then I'm going to take this road all the way out. So it says 641 right there. Take this road all the way out to today's episode of Playing in Traffic. Oh, by the way, welcome to Playing in Traffic. Today's episode is we're going out on a jetty. So your GPS is going to your GPS is going to tell you caution, unpaved road, and that is exactly what we're going on. So after you make that first right off the bridge, you enter into this right here, and this is basically, you could park right over here. You could park over there. Sorry for the dirty windows, but we're going to go back this way and do the best we can with this. We're going to follow this road all the way to the end. And this road here, we did make a right back here onto this. This road has been worse than this, so this is not bad. And this is going to take us to the parking lot of Higbee's Beach. And we're going out on the jetty today. It is low tide. Even high tide, I don't think it would have been a problem. We'll talk about that when we're on the rocks. But, yeah, this is the parking lot of Higbee's Beach. And as I'm walking out there, I'll tell you all about Higbee's Beach if you're not familiar. Another jewel of this area, South Jersey area. A truly great location, family location. Yeah, so I'm not playing any games today. And Braxy B will be happy about this. Sorry for the rusty voice. It's pollen season up here. We're going to be applying some 30. Because we're going to be out in the rocks. The jetty. And, yeah, it's not... I'm going to be somewhat responsible. No, I'm going to be responsible in general. The reason why, most importantly, for all you viewers at home, that scar that's right here was the pre-melanoma surgery to remove a Molly Russell's wart. Anyway, haha. So I had that surgery there to remove a freckle. It really wasn't even raised that I remember. But anyway, I'll be seeing a dermatologist for the rest of annually for the rest of my life, and in the interim, applying as much sunscreen as I possibly can as often as possible, especially on a day like this. So I've made this trip so many times when my kids were young that it just became an opening day, so to speak, to the summer. You know, they'd be out of school, and it'd be basically time to enjoy the summer. And I always loved Higbee's. I forget when I actually, I'll tell you what, I know when I was first here was probably when my daughter was like 3 years old. So that's pushing 30 years ago. But look at this right here. I love this shot right here, because that's where we're going, out to that triangle. This is a nice pic right here. Click. I love it. A little more. This could be a thumbnail. But anyway, like, yeah, we just drag it all. what do I like most about Higbee's? One, it's more quiet than the ocean side. Whatever, Cape May, Wildwood, it gets a little too crowded for me. Don't get me wrong, I've been in Wildwood a million times on the beach. It's just a little, it's quieter. It's not, the foot traffic is a lot lighter. The water is a little more predictable here. And don't get it twisted. This water is very, very clean. The other side of the inlet's very, very clean. Being a resident in the Villas, that water, I kind of feel Town Banks, which is that town right there, is cleaner. It's just not as muddy at all. Matter of fact, you could tell by the sea life alone that it's cleaner, because they got a lot of the crabs at the bottom of the, on the surface of the the beach, whatever, the sand. So like you have the, yeah, let me get my words together here. So like when you're swimming, you can feel the crabs nibbling at your feet in Town Bank. In the Villas, not so much. I don't know if that's their thing. I just feel like it's a little muddier. But the further you get towards the Atlantic Ocean, as we're doing here, going north to south, by the time you get to the concrete ship, which is off all the way down there, you go around the corner there, that's the Atlantic Ocean. So it would make sense that this is cleaner. And it's just not it doesn't have that undertow that obviously the ocean would have, because this is the Delaware Bay. That's kind of why I really liked Higbee's. You could also fish here. This is a very, very popular fishing spot. You could cast right in here and entertain your family if you enjoy fishing. Or you can come all the way out on the jetty and maybe get the bigger fish out this way, which is usually what you'll see most people do. Most like better fishermen and women. Haha. I don't know why I just did that, but anyway, so this is it. Look, we're going out on the jetty. We're going all the way out. We're going out to the that marker out there. We're going to take a peek at it. From the side, you can't see. The furthest most part of this jetty right here, right next to Higbee's Beach. My son was just out here last weekend fishing, and I know he got a shark. That gentleman back there is taking a shark off his hook right now. Yeah. This would be a good time to say the following. Higbee's Beach is very, very relaxing area. I'm going to say, just roughly speaking, let me get a little toe. So we got the concrete chip. So right around here, do I get my finger involved or what? I'm gonna have to go all the way out. I don't know, somewhere around in there. When we get a nor'easter, we get a nice wind-driven rain and surf, it will unearth the ghost tracks. I'm gonna put some pictures up of them. I've had the pleasure of seeing them, I guess, 2 or 3 different occasions. So there's a lot of, first off, the sea glass all along Higbee's Beach is just epic. I got a handful of that back at the house. It's really nice. It's shaped, broken bottles. Just basically almost sandpapered the smooth edges because of it just rolling around in the surf for God knows how long, decades, decades, who knows. But this town, the town itself here, extended further out here. And there was like a major storm in one early 20th century that moved the surf all the way up. So say over 100 years ago, if we were standing here, we would see a lot of business, and that also was part of the train tracks that ran along the beach. They're the ghost tracks. So this looked a whole lot different many decades ago, okay, a century ago. And I think most shore towns could say the same thing. But that sea glass, some of it is very, very, very rare. And it's coming from some of the businesses that were over here. It could have been the china that they had in the restaurants. It really could be any number of things, but it's always pretty, and you know, there's a lot of good stuff that comes along this beach. Just walking, it's just relaxing. And as you're walking there, you'll look at your feet and you'll see here and there, you'll see some green and brown and clear sea glass and white, if it's like dishes. Depending on where you're walking on the jetty, you will find remnants of the high tide from, you know, probably the last high tide that went through. But one thing's for certain, if you're walking on the jetty like I am right now, one, get a good pair of sneaks. Two, do not be stepping on any of the algae covered jetty or rock, because that will be slippery. And I think it'd be best to stay out of the stuff that's wet. But this is this is jetty walking right here, all the way out to the triangular post. And there you have it right there. So it's marker 10. Marker 10 is this. Is at the end of this. Look at that. The end of this jetty is marker 10. That's the important thing to note. Oh, let's get a picture. Hold on. So I haven't been out here in a bit. It's been I bet you about at least 10 years. Probably more like 15 was the last time I was out on this jetty. Not knowing a lot about all the towns and their jetties and how they, you know, protect the surf with big storms, from big storms. This is probably one of the longest jetties that I've seen in this area, and that would be including, you know, the jetties really aren't that prevalent. Town Bank has some good jetties, but this length, I don't know of one this long. Now, granted, this is an inlet. The ferry's going to go in and out of this inlet, so that's a big reason why they make sure this jetty's constantly, you know, stays the length that it does. This, however, could use some Rust-Oleum. Boy, that thing has seen. And here's another twist to it. Depending on the high tide and the moon, the phases that the moon is in. I've had people in the comments saying that they're not relevant and they don't do anything combined. My understanding from generations of before me, talking about the high tide and the full moon and the gravitational pull, I've seen this jetty underwater, the whole thing, multiple times a year. How about that part? Just something to consider when you're out here, just imagining the force of Mother Nature. There are scenarios where we would be underwater right now, and we'd be really in trouble. You would be in big trouble seeing this, and I would be big trouble continuing to make videos, because that would be a whole nother issue for me. Anyway, you get this tremendous view of everything in this cove. I believe this is a cove. I know for sure where the concrete ship is at, and then to the left of that, as you wrap around the beach, there's a cove there that leads to Cape May. The southernmost end of Cape May. That's a real pretty cove. I've got footage on my channel from that area.
But the dog that I had, that unfortunate, dogs do not live forever. Tawny Braxton did not live forever, but she loved Higbees. And that is going to open up the following subject matter about Higbees Beach, starting right now. So somewhere about the middle of this area. So here's where we started all the way back at the beginning of the jetty. If you go to like the halfway point, say right around here, maybe that opening, it's known that the beach will entertain the nudist people that enjoy the nudist of it all. Now, I respect that. Go and do your thing. I've only seen one nudist ever really walk right through here, just with nothing on. That was interesting. But if you do happen to venture down that way, just be aware that there could be potentially people with no clothes on. Now, the last time that I did it, I think I was with Braxton Bay. No, I did not do the nudist thing, but I was walking Tawny Braxton. And, yeah. So Tawny was very friendly. And was like, there was a couple nude bathing up by the woods. On the beach, but up by the woods. It's like, okay, come on, Tawny. No, Tawny was like, I think they got snacks. And she went over there, and I had to go all the way over. Which was like, I'm trying to respect their thing and let them do what they're doing. And then there goes Tawny making me come all the way over to get her. She was being rude and not listening. That's the magic of being around nudists. Nude sunbathers, whatever we're calling, with your dog. This is a very busy area. Look at this. Must be some good fishing right in that pocket right here. Look at it. Right in that area. We're all squeezed in. Look. Look at that. Yep, look at that right there. We're so right there. Look at that. It makes me wonder, with this surrounding metal, how long this has actually been here. Like, I know the road's different than Rockwood, but at the base of this. Now this was a very important piece, marker to navigate ships in and out of here, especially the Cape May ferry. But it doesn't look like it's had a lot of upkeep. It's, I guess, just enough so that it's still standing here. Makes me wonder with that surrounding metal edge that's holding this concrete, kind of held this in place when they, obviously the metal was probably here and the concrete filled in. Yeah, that's that old vintage that I wonder about at times. How old things really are. Yeah, so I was just sitting up here, right there. I wanted to give you a look at that metal. The barrier that's around the actual marker. So if you're older like I am, always plan on your next foot. Very, very be methodical about it. Where's your foot going to go? Long before you start moving any feet. Just plan on where's the next one going. Because you'll get elevations and you'll get lower and higher elevations. Yeah, it'd be good to just know. Let your knees know ahead of schedule. what's needed of them to get to the to get to the next rock. Oh my goodness, man. Oy. Anyway, that was a good time. You know, considering it's been such a long time having come all the way out, and honestly getting so much joy from this area, raising my kids here. You know, summer vacations, school was out. It was literally like, I used to think, did I enjoy school being out more as a student or as a parent? It's debatable. And I'm going to lean more towards the parent end of it. Because when they were done school, I literally was ready to, oh my God. And I do remember a whole extreme level of joy being out of school for the summer. But I don't know. A tremendous level of joy as a parent when they were done, because then it was going to be, we were fortunate enough, my parents lived down here, and we were heading down the shore, and it was going to be on. And most of the time, it was at Higbee's, man. Just bring everything. Bring the fishing rods. It was a 6 to 8 hour event. Yeah, it really was. When we packed up for the beach, it was 6 to 8 hours. It really was. It really, really was. 6 to 8. Wildwood Beach, we'd be on that beach after the lifeguards be gone. It would take us 2 to 3 hours to build a castle that we had planned out. Yeah, just great memories. And that's why I keep coming here. Because it still creates that much therapy for me. So, and I'm fortunate because I can. But, yeah, so that was it. Thanks for taking this trip. We went out to the jetty. We're going to see if they got a name for it. I don't even know. There's probably a name for it, but it's the number 10. The number 10 jetty. Yep. And gentleman out there wasn't doing really a whole lot with the fishing. I wished him luck. At least, yeah, but again, most of the people fishing here, it's like, they catch a fish, it's a bonus. You know, you're out here having quiet time and relaxation. And if you get a fish, even better. Here he goes, navigating the stone. But here we go. So I want to close this video out by just filming this one corner right here. It was in this corner that I took an absolutely, for me personally, one of my most favorite pictures I've ever taken. And I am going to try to find it so I can insert it into this part of the video, where I'm holding a baby horseshoe crab that was the size of my wedding ring. I was actually holding it just like this. I should be able to find it because I've had it in videos in the past. Because it was right in this location right here. It was right up against the jetty. They kind of pooled here. There was a handful of baby horseshoe crabs. There's a live one right there, I believe. And yeah, the babies were right in here. Had one in my hand. And one gentleman was fishing down the very end where I just was. And he actually, I don't know if he thought he had, I don't know if he thought he had a big fish. He probably knew better. And the fact that he actually reeled it up on the rocks was kind of extraordinary. But he had a pair of mating horseshoe crabs, which is heavy. That's heavy. I'm hoping he kind of felt from the get-go that was a horseshoe crab. I don't know if he could tell on his line, but I'm hoping that's what he felt, because otherwise he would have probably thought he was into like a little baby whale. That's an exaggeration, but That was a nice journey. That was my first real walking journey on my YouTube channel. The one I'm reflecting on now is when I went across the Tacony Palmyra Bridge. I'll have to look. But I got others all on my channel. But that was one of I love this view. I am absolutely a sucker for the path to the beach. I really am. Can I get a picture of this without? Yeah, I'm a sucker for that, for the path to the beach. I think it's one of the best photo ops out there. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for taking the walk with me. But again, if another one of them videos, if you're in the area, vacationing, Wildwood, Avalon, Stone Harbor, Cape May, Villas, Townbank. There's all these really spectacular spots to experience. And for their my own personal reason, it's just like they are really special. And maybe they'll be special for someone else too that sees the video. But that's going to do it for this episode, folks. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, pleasant tomorrow, and I'll see you next time.